If you spend any time in these YouTube streets, you have heard about BRICS. And maybe if the algorithm hasn't caught up to you, I'm hoping that this puts you in the algorithm of learning more about BRICS. But in this video, I want to tell you the 5 most important things that you should know about BRICS before you do your own research. Okay, so BRICS is an economic alliance that has been formed. It was formed, has been, the original BRICS since 2010. And it is comprised of Brazil, the countries of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Okay, it is an economic alliance that is growing into one of the world's most superpowers today. Okay, so we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to tell you the 5 most important things you should know about this economic alliance so that you can learn more, right? That you can get in your economic bag and start to understand and learn the dynamics of what this powerhouse is and how it may or may not affect you. But closer to the may, because it's going to affect you. It's going to affect everyone in the world because there's a huge shift happening. But first, let me introduce myself. If you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Ashley. On this channel, Ashley in Africa, I talk about my experience moving, living, and doing business here on the continent of Africa. I live in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania with my 2 young girls, and I share my journey of motherhood, of love, and entrepreneurship after living in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania for 2 years and preparing to relocate to Johannesburg, South Africa. So you can hear the sweet birds in the background and then the not so sweet crows in the background. It's Friday, so you may hear some children laughing, playing, as well as some of the noises of what it means to take care of a household, as my dada, my house helper, is kind of making sure that the house is tidy. But in this video, we're gonna get into 5 things that you need to know about BRICS, the economic alliance that is growing. It is growing. So as I mentioned, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are the BRICS alliance. And while they have been called an economic alliance, the advantage that they hold together is massive. It's huge. So the first thing is that 41.5% of the world's population is in this economic alliance of BRICS, right? And about $26.2 trillion spending dollars value is that alliance, right? About 26.2% of the amount of financial wealth exists, 26.2 of that in this current BRICS alliance. Number 2, these economies are producer economies. So Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they produce, whether it's energy, food, technology, consumer goods, they are producer economies versus some of these Western economies that are not included in BRICS. They are producer economies, not consumer economies. All right, number 3, they have historical alliances. Now, I don't want to get too deep into this because I am not a historian. I'm not a history buff, although I am learning a lot, and I don't want to misquote. But there are historical alliances between all of these countries. Do your research. But I learned about this specifically during my last trip to South Africa about the historical alliance between Russia and South Africa and how the US has put a lot of pressure on South Africa to denounce Russia and their relationship. And they haven't done it and they won't do it. And the reasons why is are historic, you know, are the alliance that Russia has had in the training of the military of South Africa, in the preservation of their, you know, said sovereignty in South Africa. And so again, like, I don't want to get too deep into it, do your own research, but this is not only a current economic alliance, or said that something that has only existed from 2010. There are decades, century-old historical alliances that have been in place, military alliances that have been in place with these countries for years, for centuries. And so, yeah, since the Soviet war, you know, trade. I mean, India sent thousands, hundreds of thousands of Indians to South Africa as indentured servants, you know, back in the 70s and 60s. And so these are long-standing relationships that have since the development of these countries has happened. Yeah, they're forging their economic powers together, and they're essentially getting to the global economic bag. But I digress. Number 4. So there is a financial system that will challenge the global reserve currency, which is the dollar. And the SWIFT system, which is currently the only way to make international transfers, which is connected to the Federal Reserve in the US, is currently the main system. And there are new systems being created. These include the new development bank, the BRICS payment system, and also crypto. So South Africa is one of the fastest adopting countries of cryptocurrency, and has been for the last decade. And so these financial systems, these traditional financial systems of the global reserve dollar, as the US dollar being the global reserve currency, and the SWIFT system being the only way to make international transactions, yeah, it's changing. And BRICS is the reason for that. So do your own research and understand how this economic shift is a part of the reason why we see inflation happening. We see different access to energy decreasing, access to fuel. These changes, you know, are happening. And the last thing you need to know is that this economic alliance is growing. So the countries that I listed in the beginning that formed the original BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is now becoming BRICS Plus, because you have many other countries that are interested in becoming associated and becoming a part of this new global powerhouse, right? So some of these countries include Nigeria, Egypt, which are the other most richest countries on the continent, right? So pay attention. Nigeria and Egypt have expressed interest in the economic alliance of the BRICS community, the BRICS system. Argentina, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Uruguay. These countries have made formal requests to the Chinese government about having a relationship with the BRICS system. So there are so many things to learn about this new dominating economic conglomerate. The shift is a significant factor in the reason why Western societies are experiencing food shortages, energy deficits, highly fluctuating currency exchange rates, right? Hyperinflation, ridiculous fuel prices. Basically, these signs of economic downturns or economic fluctuations mean economic instability. If the things that are happening in the West were happening in any other country in the East, they would call it an economic unstable situation. There would be foreign, invasions to preserve the stability of the economy or the social structure, right? But that's not what's being said, right? Everybody is doing everything except for admitting to what is actually happening. And so the old West, which we're going to start calling it the old West, cannot keep up with the new East, the new Eastern way of doing business. And this BRICS economic conglomerate, you know, it's proof of that. So I'm gonna link several videos in the description for you to continue to do your research. I hope just by watching this video, you'll start to get into the algorithm of what BRICS is so that you can learn more about it. Continue to do your research. If this video was helpful for you, please comment below, like the video, share it with someone who would add value or who could find value into it and add value to this community. Let me know, have you heard of the BRICS economic conglomerate? What do you think about it? What is your position? Share a link to a video that we might be able to reference and find more information about. You know, this is about resistance. You know, this is about resilience and survival. And with over 50%, close to 50% of the world's population being a part of this new economic system, you know, it's a really interesting time. So be vigilant, be aware of how this can impact you, how this will impact you, and make your moves accordingly. And if you found this video helpful, again, please be sure to like it, leave me a comment below, subscribe to our channel. Let me know if this type of information is helpful to you, and connect with me on different platforms, subscribe. We're growing, and I'm grateful to this community, and I'm grateful that the information that I'm sharing is valuable and helpful for you. And until the next video, I'll see you soon.